In one afternoon, Christina Hall erased every picture of her third spouse. Lawyers began buzzing after $35,000 inexplicably moved between their accounts a few days later. The claims and the money, however, were not the most startling aspects. On national television, that's what happened next. Viewers witnessed a competition event transform into the most agonizing confession of her career, as cameras continued to record her marriage breaking down in real time. Her admission altered everyone's perception of her past. On July 9, 1983, Christina Minga Hawk was born in Anaheim, California. Her world consisted of lengthy drives through Anaheim Hills, peaceful kulaks, and the sea air while she was growing up in Orange County with her younger sister Carly, who moved there 10 years later. The type of scene that, unbeknownst to her, would ultimately serve as the foundation of her brand. Christina was thrilled when her parents announced they were attending an open house when other children asked to visit the mall. When she entered those model homes, she would become quiet, not because she was shy, but rather because her thoughts began to function. She took note of the room's shapes, the wall colors, and the arrangement of the couch beneath the window. She was already developing an own language of layouts, textures, and light before she even appeared in front of a camera. Family vacations weren't the only purpose of those weekend excursions. The training sessions were silent. Carly followed, but Christina took in everything. She pondered music. What would happen if the kitchen cabinets were white rather than oak? She imagined new flooring as she examined the worn tile. Long before she realized what that word meant on TV, she was mentally flipping houses. The majority of children her age were considering TV series or toys. Christina was considering ways to make a space feel new and welcoming. She continued to listen to music as a private pastime. Throughout her early years, high school, and the life she eventually formed on HGTV, it became a consistent thread. When it was time for school, she remained near home. Christina attended nearby Southern California schools before earning her diploma from Canyon High School in Anaheim in 2001. She opted for the more sedate route, while several of her colleagues dreamed of moving to New York or pursuing degrees in big cities in Los Angeles. She intentionally kept her world narrow by enrolling at a community college or nearby university. By remaining close to home, she was able to maintain her Orange County roots, observe how the homes changed, and continue to envision a future independent of a well-known university name. Although those years did not bring her fame or recognition, they did influence her mindset. She learned to create rather than chase, to take things one step at a time. She had a consistent, local, and practical education that complemented her work style. Instead of waiting for someone else to open a door, it provided her with a solid enough foundation to trust her own decisions. She still believed that her path might take a completely different turn. Christina was interested in becoming a sports agent before she started working in real estate and television. Something clicked for her when she saw the movie Jerry Maguire. She was captivated by the phone calls, contracts, high stakes, music, discussions, and the prospect of negotiating significant deals. The idea of being her own boss and the focal point of a negotiation instead of someone waiting on the outside appealed to her. A career in sports never materialized from that goal. However, it accomplished something significant. She learned that she wanted control over her professional life, enjoyed pressure, and loved negotiating. Later, when she entered real estate offices and sat, music, across from clients, those early aspirations manifested in the way she pushed, spoke, and managed risk and money. The true turning point occurred when she was about 21 years old and attending college. There was no detailed plan or set of objectives. She claimed to have sensed it instinctively. She made the decision to obtain a real estate license. She read the contracts and regulations, completed the classes offered by a nearby community college, and passed the test. Although that paper license didn't seem like much, it had a profound impact. She began as a regular agent and had no idea that she would ever be followed by a video crew. At first, she just saw listings, clients, and the opportunity to establish herself. Nevertheless, such choice subtly created the conditions for house flipping. Afterward, she went to try out for her own TV series. There wouldn't be a national brand bearing her name if she hadn't made that decision at age 21. Something changed around the age of 21. Christina followed her instincts and chose to obtain her real estate license at a nearby community college without a detailed plan or roadmap. It seemed natural, almost by chance, yet it made a huge difference. Young and hungry, she started her career as a full-time representative for Prudential in Orange County. They were lengthy days. Evenings were spent at open houses. Weekends vanished. Living paycheck to paycheck, she competed in a competitive market and followed cold leads. She had no choice but to learn quickly. She started to gain momentum in 2005, but then everything fell apart. Everything became more difficult after the 2008 property market meltdown. Pressure increased as sales slowed. While working at Prudential at the time, Christina got to know Tarek El Moussa. Their same aspirations and relentless work ethic brought them together. They banded together to form the El Moussa Group and worked hard in a market that penalized hesitation. They switched to flipping houses after the collision. They paid $115,000 for their first Santa Ana investment home in 2010 and made $34,000 when they sold it. Every dollar was reinvested in the next endeavor. They took chances by occasionally purchasing houses at auction without seeing them firsthand, demolishing them completely, installing bathrooms, rebuilding kitchens, and changing layouts. There were narrow margins. The tension was genuine, but they continued. By 2011, Tar had recorded a whole house flip and submitted it as a demonstration to HGTV. They had nothing to lose. They were still subsisting on hustle and belief at the time, living in an apartment that cost $700 a month. They were signed by HGTV within a year. The first episode of Flip or Flop aired on April 16, 2013. Christina took charge of the show's design, selecting staging, layouts, and finishes that were both contemporary and accessible. Viewers made a connection. Ratings skyrocketed. Tens of millions of people watched the show over its 10 seasons, and more than 150 episodes, making them household names. It was demonstrated by the numbers. On April 16, 2013, Flip or Flop made its debut. It attracted an average of 22.7 million viewers during its initial music summer run. It aired for 10 seasons, from 2013 to 2022, with over 150 episodes and a cumulative viewership of over 90 million. The majority of seasons included 1 or 2 house flips in each of its 12 to 15 episodes. It became the most popular home renovation series on HGTV by the time it finished. Taake and Christina were no longer only local agents. With a whole franchise riding on them, they were one of the most well-known power couples on the network. However, pressure was mounting behind the polished revelations. In 2013, just a few months after the show's debut, Taake received a thyroid cancer diagnosis. After noticing a tumor on his neck, a nurse who was watching the broadcast sent an email to the production crew. The cancer had spread to his lymph nodes by the time he had surgery a few days later. Both his thyroid and the afflicted nodes were removed. He underwent another operation after learning he also had testicular cancer just a few months later. While still taping episodes, he started receiving radioactive iodine therapy and chemotherapy. In the same year, he silently battled for his health off-screen while being filmed flipping houses. Christina was also battling a personal fight at the same time. She has publicly acknowledged that she has polycystic ovarian syndrome, a disorder that can lead to irregular cycles and difficulty getting pregnant. She and Tar wanted a second child after the birth of their daughter Taylor in 2009, but the music process became drawn out and agonizing. They tried in vitro fertilization for a year before turning to it in 2015. Their initial IVF effort was unsuccessful. The second resulted in a miscarriage at about 8 weeks into the pregnancy. These defeats occurred while their national television screens featured their faces, and their fame was growing. Christina was told to remain strictly bedridden for the third IVF cycle. Unable to carry anything heavier than a gallon of milk, she was bedridden for a whole week before engaging in minimal exercise for 13 weeks. Music. After much physical and emotional stress, their son Braden was born in August 2015 as a result of that cycle. She subsequently characterized those years as a heartbreaking and hopeful roller coaster. All of this took place as the cameras continued to record. They were supposed to music, stroll through homes, laugh about, and discuss tile music selections with assurance while on set. On the other hand, they had to manage hormone medications, cope with lab results, and rush to hospital visits. Christina has talked about the emotional roller coaster of crying at night from weariness and grinning during a remodeling scene during the day. Tark recorded while coping with side effects from chemotherapy and later hormone therapy, as well as surgeries. They displayed both buyers and sellers of music. The evenings they spent lying awake fretting music about fertility, cancer, or their future together were not depicted. There was little opportunity to slow down due to the network scheduling. There was a steady demand for fresh episodes on HGTV, and production schedules were strict. An additional layer of weight was added by social media. comments, viewpoints, and unending public criticism over their marriage, parenting, and decisions were present in every episode. Few viewers were fully aware of their health struggles. They were compelled to continue performing even when they were exhausted by the need to maintain appearances for the cameras and the internet. The tension in their marriage and business was increased by their silence, music, regarding their personal suffering. By 2016, people were beginning to see the fractures. After years of stress, health concerns, and non-stop labor, a furious dispute erupted at their Yorba Linda, California, home on May 23. Armed with a weapon, Tar left the house and headed toward the neighboring Chino Hills State Park. A man with a gun who might be suicidal was reported to 911. What started out as a private altercation became a widely reported music incident when police arrived with several units and a music helicopter. When officers finally found Tara, a helicopter was hovering over them. Later, he remembered that a loudspeaker had commanded him to raise his hands while he stood there, with dust blowing around him from the blades. While police looked into it, he spent hours sitting on a cooler in his own driveway in handcuffs. It appeared to be a scary scene from Christina's perspective. She has stated that she didn't think he intended to harm anybody else. When she contacted 911, she did it out of concern for his safety. The incident appeared even more spectacular to the outside world because of the helicopter, the complete police response, and the subsequent media coverage. The damage had already been done when the authorities eventually verified that there was no proof of violence or malicious intent. It was a desperate moment for Christina. It represented a boundary that neither of them could just cross again. Taake subsequently attempted to describe what had transpired from his point of view. He claimed that because he had a valid concealed carry certificate and the area was home to bobcats and mountain lions, he brought the rifle as a precaution in case he saw wildlife while hiking. He claimed that after the dispute, he simply wanted to go for a walk to get his mind straight and was unaware of Christina's fear or how soon things would get out of hand. He talked about being extremely ashamed when he saw the chopper and realized that the cops were there because someone believed he would be a threat to himself. In retrospect, he has acknowledged that more than just that one day was entangled with his mental state at the time. He then disclosed that severe hormone therapies contributed to that mental state. He started taking large amounts of human chorionic gonadotropin and testosterone after being diagnosed with cancer. He was physically unbalanced, emotionally unstable, and fatigued as a result of the mix. According to him, the therapies made it more difficult to control tension and led to unpredictable conduct. He and Christina have both stated that it was during that time that their 7-year marriage really began to fall apart. The incessant drive to perform in front of an audience, health issues, and treatment side effects all contributed to the same storm. They did not immediately declare their breakup in May 2016 despite the gun incident. Rather, they kept their divorce a secret for months, while the cameras followed them through more renovations, continuing to shoot flip or flop together as if nothing had changed. They didn't formally announce their separation until December 2016. In their joint statement, they tried to keep the attention on their kids, stressed that there was no violence and no charges, and characterized the incident at their house as an unfortunate misunderstanding. January, music, 2018 marked the finalization of their divorce. Despite everything, the show continued to air. Their son Braden, born in 2014, and daughter Taylor, born in 2009, witnessed their parents transition from spouses to co-parents under a spotlight that never quite faded. The audience was not accustomed to what transpired next. After their marriage ended, Christina and TK continued to co-host the show rather than leaving. Flip or Flop continued to produce new episodes from 2017 until 2022, which meant that they worked together for over 4 years following their divorce. Reporters and fans intently observed their interactions, looking for signs of new fondness or old tension in their eye contact and casual remarks. Their scenes evolved into a real-time study of two people attempting to maintain their professional lives after their personal lives fell apart, with elements of restoration. Their choice to continue working together created its own tale in a world where reality couples frequently disappear when partnerships end. Her Rises network made a definitive choice regarding her future in June 2018. Christina Hall, who had already experienced a highly public breakup with Tak Musa, was set to go solo with a new show called Christina on the Coast, according to HGTV. It wasn't just another series about renovations. The plan was to follow her about Southern California as she rebuilt her own life in secret while working on upscale homes. To be clear, the first episode's plan was straightforward and intimate. Filming started in the fall of 2018, and cameras would follow her as she tried to start over and renovate her new house, which she had purchased following the divorce. Christina, music on the Coast was prepared for broadcast by May 23, 2019. The premiere featured more than just floor layouts, lighting, and tiles. In Newport Beach, it followed Christina as she transformed an abandoned house into a home she wanted. She made design choices while juggling the demands of being a mother of 3, as viewers witnessed. The entire world watched her as she described what it was like to rebuild after a breakup in quiet times, school runs, and family moments. The makers intentionally combined her personal and professional lives, so each room she completed and each wall she painted had a small fragment of her own beginning. The tone for the entire series was established by that first episode, which informed viewers that the tale was about more than just countertops. It was about resiliency and reinvention. Christina's role behind the camera began to shift as the show expanded. She did more than just address the workers while standing in front of them and discussing design decisions. She took over as executive producer of Christina on the Coast, and then its sister program in the country. This change gave her more influence over the stories that were shown on television. She could assist in selecting which clients to highlight, what aspects of her private life to share, and how each season would strengthen her overall brand. She went from being a straightforward home remodeling celebrity to developing a whole business image as a result of the shift. In addition to curating living rooms and kitchens, she was also influencing how people saw the name Christina. The following pivot followed. She purchased a farmhouse, Music, in Franklin, Tennessee, in May 2021, a long way from the beaches that had made her name. Christina in the Country, a new series that debuted in 2022, was made possible by that acquisition. She leaned on wood beams, warm tones, and expansive outside music venues rather than open glass views and coastal blues. Despite feeling distinct, the Tennessee projects maintained a connection to her narrative. She demonstrated how she could adapt to a rural environment, music, without losing her style by taking on jobs for family members, including her husband's sister and brother-in-law. She attracted viewers who were more interested in land and porches than beach vistas when she relocated to Tennessee. It also demonstrated her ability to switch between two quite distinct worlds with her design vision. Christina started to make appearances in the larger realm of reality television as her series grew. She performed as a guest on HGTV. She also participated in the Barbie Dreamhouse Challenge in 2023, when she faced off against other network celebrities in a lighthearted yet intense design competition. She participated in judging panels, appeared on other programs, and helped determine who performed the best flip on Brother versus Brother. In order to stay in front of people who might not regularly watch home remodeling, she also ventured into food-based shows for guest spots. She gradually emerged as one of the network's primary spokespersons, a person who could transition between various formats without losing the audience's familiarity. Behind that public face was a private life that had already seen significant hardship. After dating since 2006, Christina wed Tar Music El Musa on April 17, 2009, on Coronado Island in California. They started dating as real estate agents, and a passionate rhythm was established right away when they moved in together on their first date. Their daughter, Taylor Music Ree, was born in September 2010. Following challenging and well-publicized infertility problems, they welcomed their son, Braden James, in 2015. During this period, they became well known for their home remodeling show, Flip or Flop, which debuted in 2013. But in private, what appeared successful on TV was more difficult. When TK was diagnosed with cancer in 2013, their family was filled with anxiety and tension. Music was under additional strain due to financial strains from their business. The marriage had disintegrated by December 2016, and their split was made public. January 2018 saw the finalization of the divorce. Conflicts over money, property, and how to share the things they had created together led to the dissolution of the marriage. Additionally, both parties were charged with concealing assets or making emotional arguments in court. As this was happening, viewers continued to watch Flip or Flop, which further exposed the split. Music. Christina entered into a second marriage shortly after that. After a short music romance, she wed British television host Ant Anstead in July 2018. Their son Hudson was born on February 2019. Additionally, she appeared to have adapted to a new family unit from the outside. However, the marriage did not endure. They declared their split by September 2020, and the divorce was finalized by June 2021. It wasn't until a custody dispute over Hudson entered the legal system in 2022 that the worst storm from that split materialized. Music. Ant requested complete custody of Hudson in April of 2022. He said in his complaint that Music This exposure was needless and damaging, and he accused Christina of utilizing their son in sponsored social media posts. He claimed that using Hudson in advertising posts was exploitative and placed the youngster in the center of the public eye for financial gain. Both parents had initially consented to share physical and legal custody, but he now wanted that to be altered. In response, Christina denied the allegations, stating that Hudson was always safe and that she was just sharing her life as a parent. Fans took sides online as the back and forth was depicted in headlines. The two came to an agreement by December 2022 that maintained joint custody. However, the altercation damaged her reputation and sparked a broader public discussion about social media, children, and privacy. The scrutiny trend persisted. The tabloids repeatedly emphasized Christina's rapid forays into new partnerships. They reminded readers that shortly after her breakup with TK, she began dating her aunt. Later, when she moved on from aunt, they followed suit. Stories indicated that she utilized her kids as part of her celebrity brand and accused her of leveraging motherhood in postings to increase engagement. Her HGTV success and the way gossip sites portrayed her as a contentious person whose love life and parenting were constantly scrutinized were at odds. She wed Josh Hall in a low-key, initially private ceremony in October 2021. In September 2022, a second, more public wedding was held in Hawaii. The marriage was portrayed as a new beginning. As her appearances and business expanded, the two seemed to work together as a cohesive team on television and social media. However, the stability was not maintained. Josh filed for divorce in July 2024, claiming that they couldn't agree and requesting spousal support. Their disagreement swiftly, music, turned into an emotional and legal battle. According to court documents, Josh provided a slightly later date for their separation, while Christina listed July 7th as the date of separation in her own divorce filing, which she submitted on July 23, 2024. After they split up, he said she transferred $35,000 from her money into his account. She refuted this and charged him with financial mismanagement. In addition, she requested exclusive music, access to their Newport Beach residence, and 2 Tennessee properties, claiming that it was essential for her children's security and well-being. Fans soon discovered that she had removed any posts on social media that mentioned Josh. The cleanup was highly visible, and the marriage had dissolved. Then, in 2025, the flip-off story took a new turn. Josh Hall did not compete in the season's competitions after the public, music, and challenging divorce. Even his absence seemed to be a declaration. Without him, Christina took on tasks and frequently relied on outside support to cover that responsibility. The show's footage showed tense disagreements, music from the past, including times when Josh questioned her commitment to the Hall name and accused her of being impolite. Audiences witnessed a large portion of the journey virtually as it happened, and the divorce was formalized in August 2025. The season was one of the most talked about reality shows on the channel because of the combination of long-standing television history with real-time fallout. Christina's personal life took a different course amid all of this chaos. However, she decided to relocate in greater seclusion this time. She started dating Christopher Laraca, a businessman who is the president and CEO of Network Connex. In October 2024, and their relationship was made public in early 2025. However, she only gave music the world a small portion of it. According to reports, they met at a Mexican restaurant in Newport, and she has said that their relationship is based on mutual understanding and development. As she attempted to move on, his calm, music, professional presence provided a feeling of relief from the drama that had enveloped some of her previous relationships. Her life with her previous music marriages changed at the same time. She began to receive more compliments than criticism for her co-parenting style. Tarek El Moussa publicly declared that their relationship was stronger than it has been in years, and that they were both committed to giving their kids a stable and healthy existence. He even invited Christina and her partner to family gatherings, demonstrating how far they had come since their acrimonious divorce. Both men appeared as guest judges on the flip-off to promote the larger family narrative, and Aunt Anstead, music, also stated her desire to maintain harmony for Hudson's benefit. Together, they demonstrated that a functional, respectful framework for the kids could be established even in the midst of previous arguments and open trials.